Hello viewers, welcome to Core for Any. If you hear new, hit subscribe buttons and notification bell so you can never miss any our incredible content. Flutter text app inside. Today we need to see this here the drivers apps parts we need to show this here. Inside we need to creating here the update locations. We need to get this here and then after we need to calling this here the update locations REST API. First of all, so need this here for the get change this location this device. You need to need this here the listens. That need to use this here the lips for the geolocators. Need to use this here the inside the subspace. First of all, need to open here the website pubdevs. Need to open and to find out here the geolocators lips and to put this here and to install this here. First of all, need to go inside the install tabs. Need to going here like this and to copy this lens and to put here inside the subspace. Then after importance you need to set this here. Then after you need to given this here the needs iOS permissions and Android permissions need to given inside the explain here. First of all you need to select here the Android's apps inside source inside need to go inside the main files and inside need to go this here the Android manifest XML. So need to go here and to now need to give this here the location permissions are the check here and to given this here. We need to need this here the find locations, need to give this here locations, cross locations we need to give this here and another the background location also need to need this here for the driver apps. Need to copy here and to paste this here and to write down here the access for the background locations. Need to give this here the permissions. Background locations like these permissions are the needs for the locations. And then after we need to go inside check also cross verify inside the iOS. Now need to open here the iOS folders and to go inside the runners and to select here the info plist files. And then after we need to check this here the ns location always uses descriptions we need to set here. And then locations when used the description also needs this here like these locations are the needs. And also need to go inside first of all the go here opens here the xcodes and to set this here the some permissions for the background locations. To explain here how can put this here the background locations inside the xcodes. Now opening these projects here and now need to go inside the sign in and compatibilities, select plus sign on the plus and to add this here backgrounds. I have already added that, now it's not displaying here. Need to select here the compatibility inside the location update. Need to given this here the access for the background locations. And also need to give this here the background processings are the gives not needs here, but we need to futures later need to explain here what is use of the background processings inside the location managers needs. But now only use here the foregrounds, but we need to need these permissions are the required here. And then after the close these projects and now need to move on our library need to integrations and to create here the common class. First of all now need to create here the new files and to give this here the name location manager. Location helpers is good this name, not use here manager helper dot darts like this. We need to creating here the names. Now same as we need to copy here this class, need to single stone class we need to create same as location helpers and to change this here the names location helper. Copy here, paste this here and to create here the internal methods as well as single stone class and to calling like this here and to share this single stones and to remove this here the static methods word. Like this we need to creating here the singleton class and now need to one by one the implements here this service. First of all we need to declare here some variables are the needs here. First of all we need to give this here the permissions for the need this here, need to call this here the final geolocators platforms, and to get this here the geolocator platform is equal to, need to set here geolocator platforms dot instance, need to instant methods, need to call this here and to use this here like this. And then after need this here the stream subscriptions, needs here the variables and stream subscription another variable for the status reading. So need this here two variables, need to declare here the stream subscriptions and to give this here the name position stream subscriptions subs, and to set here the types as a position and to optional. Then after another stream variables need to define here the for status service status. And to give this here change these types of the service status type events like this given here, and also need to give this here the bool variables need to define here positions stream started and to set by default as a false like this sets here. Now we need to calling this here the init, we need to give this here the void dot start methods, maybe start init is good, initialize like this. We need to set this here and to write down here the toggle streams. We need to calling this here the toggles, need to start here the streamings, need to define here and to calling this here. Now need to write down here the functions. We need to check this here the since methods calling here. Then after need to write down here the where is access variables, need to check this here the permissions are access or not access, denied force denied like this. You need to returning here the message, need to use this here the handler permission handlers, need to use this here for this app. You need to calling here the permission handlers class provide maybe future bool and to define here permission handlers and to return this here true. Now we need to check wait functions since calling like this here and to check this here. First of all, we need to give this here the bool service enable and to write down here the location permissions is equal to permission like this declare here. Now need to write down here the service enables is equal to, need to call this here await and to use this here the geocoders geo platforms dots, need to get this here these locations enables, need to check this here maybe why not work here wrong from geolocator, that's why not working. To remove this here platform instance and to do this fix this here this issue. Now need to write down here is geolocator service are enables like this. You need to write down here the message, and then after you need to check this here if is not service enables is service enables, then after need to return this here the false, and another need to check this here the permissions is equal to need to check this here await dot check permissions geolocator platforms dot check permissions, and we need to check here if conditions permissions equal to locations permission dot denied, and to write down here the permissions and to ask this here the users for these permissions. Await functions need to calling here and to call this here the geolocator platform geolocator maybe wrong use this here and to replace all this. Now need to check here the request for the permissions request for the permissions like this. You need to write down here the functions, and then again you need to check this here the denieds, then we need to process this here the return as a false. False like this. Now we need to another checks here if permissions equal to location permissions dot denied for hours. We need to set like this users and to give this here the set here false like this settings here the for the permission handlings and to use this here. Now need to check here if access, then to call this here another's parts need to get this here the streams who can get here not, then to return this here this functions executions not calls, and to check this here if service ops is equal to nulls, then to create this instance, otherwise not create because we need to one time create here just now need to write down here the final service stream status state stream is equal to need to write down here the geolocators platform dots need to calling this here the get service enables status need to get this here. Then after need to write down here the subscriptions need to given this here and to write down here stream dot handler error and to get this here the errors dot vision events and to write down here the service status like this. If you get any errors, then to calling this here the subscriptions stream dots need to calling this here the cancels. Stream dot cancels need to call this here. Then after need to this variables need to also need to set this here the nulls because need to clean this here. And then after need to check this here the string dots status value need to need this here, use this here value and to write down here. And then after need to calling this here if service status is equal to service status enable else parts. Then after need to check this here if positions started then to toggles here another methods and to listening here the events for the location change to write down here the listens start location change listen logic here right else parts need to call this here status value need to give this here enable like this need to write down here else parts need to check this here if position stream description is not equal to null then to write down here the position subscription set here cancelled and to clean this here is equal to set here null like this we need to set here configurations and to print here the log position stream has been cancelled like this we need to print this here the message and to write down here the disable the streams disabled like this we need to set this here the titles and also we need to print against this value outside of the these brackets and to give this here the service status need to write down here the location service has been dollars we need to write down here the service status and to printing these years no needs here the brackets to remove years like this we need to display here this value for these functions and now need to write down here the rest logics need to write down here the toggles listening streams we need to call this here we need to give this here the functions names location change listening listening function like this we need to write down here and to call this like here functions copy here and to write down here the functions void for this progress like this and to write here these functions first of all we need to write here the functions as a if positions stream sub is equal to null then to calling this here the final variables and to declare here the position streams variables need to declaring here maybe we need to fix here typo always. Also here typo, need to fix this here. Is equal to write down here the geolocator platform. Dots need to put here the gets positions. Streams methods need to calling this here, and first of all need to set this here the location settings. You need to apply this here location settings, because this is the matters here, because need to accurate locations. You need this for this apps. That's why to set here the locations settings. You need to set here. This is the important parts of this streaming service. Need this here accuracy. Need to set this here the location accuracy. You need to set here based for the navigations like this. You need to setting here, and then after need to distance filters also need to given this here the 125 15 meters. You need to given this here the accuracy for the change this, and to return this here the streaming value. You need to return get like this value here. You need to write down here the semicolons. Then after some need to given this here the position stream subscribe, and to give this here the positions stream dot handles errors. Need to given this here the errors returns here. Maybe sometime possible gets here the errors. Then after need to call this here the on listen events, and to give this here the variable names as the positions. And to call like this here. Now need to handling here the errors. If you gets any errors, then to stop this streaming service, no needs to streams again. That's why I need to clear this here the service. Need to call this here, copy here subscriptions dot, need to cancel this stream, and also need to clear this data, and like this need to, and now here get here the new locations, and to call this here the service calls our server. REST API calling here. Now need to write down here the API callings methods, because we need to send this here the locations as per our. Now need to given this here the first of all, so need to write down here the to do, give this here service call, not service calls. Need to give this here the API call. It's good, and short name API calling. Now need to write down here the functions void API calling location update, and to pass this here the parameters. We need to give this here the positions POS like this set series, and then after we need to call this here the methods. To use any methods, we need to calling this here. We need to go inside the home. I have to check here any service calls. Not. Need to find out here the to-do tables. Leaves. View. Logins. Maybe you need to write manually. This is good. Not need to find out list of times to write down here. Service call. Dot need to call this here the post methods. Also need to declare here the common class inside. Globes. To declaring here the update locations API. Statics. Const, and to write down here the update location. state location drive. Like this, need to write down here the API, give this here the names, base URL, and semicolons. Then after need to give this here the API names, need to find out inside the node backends. Need to go here and to find out here the update locations API. Use this here and to call this here. Now need to save and also need to first of all check this here the callings. This is the driver logins. To use this here the service. Check this here the user types is equal to 2, not equal to 2. Then to return these functions, not need this here. Like this need to calling this here and to pass this here the parameters and to path as well as sv dot update driver location, and these tokens need to API need to set here the true with success blocks. Need to calling this here the response object and to call this here the async methods. And now need to write down here the failures blocks. Need to return here the errors and async need to call this here. And to calling this like this, and also need to write down here the parameters. Give this here needed value, need to pass this here. Now first of all need to check this here the errors. Need to print this here. Debug print need to call this here. Need to call this here. Now need to write down here location sending L and to write down here as $error like this. If you get here the success, then to check here the first of all these parameters need to response object dots need to check here the status and to write down here equal to 1, then to successfully send and to print this here the logs debug print location send success like this. Need to success to remove this error message. Else parts need to set here the fail message and to write down here return message. Response objects and to print this here dot message and to string like this. Need to printing here. And now need to pass this here the one by one parameters for these users. First of all need to give this here the latitudes value, then after longitudes value, and also need to give this here the socket ID. Remove this here. Need this here the socket ID. First of all need this here the socket manager class. Manager dot share dot socket dot ID. Write down here question mark like this. Given this here the value, and also need to given this here the positions dot EOS dot longitudes to string. So need to given this here to string like this. Then after same as need to EOS dot positions and to give this here longitudes, not longitude, latitudes dot to string, and to sending this here the value. This like need to calling this here the API. I also now need to call these functions here, so I need to forget. Now need to give this here the positions like this and to returning here calling this API and to write down here driver location sending. Like this, need to write down here the message. Now this is the class are the ready, but we need to write down here the some functions are the needed here and to call here. Maybe no needs, but we need to write down here one functions push and start. Void location send push. Like this, write down here. Push. If you set here the push, then we to call this here the positions up into first of all check this here. If positions subscribe not equal to null, then we to check this here positions up dot started need to call this here the push. Maybe it's not check here. Set here instance and to write down here positions no, like this sets here, and then to set here the started, and also need to set this here the this flag. If you started and to returns here already started, that's why I need to return here. If not started, then we need to call this here the locations, maybe location change listing need to call this here the methods like this need to call here. Now this is the R ready and to integrate our systems, but we need to check here the callings here. First of all, need to start these apps and to go inside the home page, then to calling this here the functions to go home view and to initialize these functions and to initialize these positions. We need to call this here the init methods. Init states like this, and then after so need to call this here location managers. Need to check first of all the types is user, self node, if service call dots, need to use this here user type is equal to 2, then to call this here location manage helpers dot single stones, you need to call this years, and to write down here the start init methods, need to call this years and to calling this years this value. Now need to stop this and to run against these apps, because need to add it here the new library, and that why need to update here the apps. Now I am waiting for the loading these apps. If you like this content, so please subscribe my channels and press the notification bell icon. You can get every new video notifications and awesome content. If you have any questions, so please write down the comment sections. I will help you and sort out your issue. Everyone have a nice day. Goodbye and take care. Now this is the callings here, the taxi drivers, and to waiting for here the allow when using the apps always once. Need to give this here the when using app, need to given this years. Now need to check this here the locations service R has been, check this year's invalid location service has been enabled. Now this written here the message, but why invalid user, it's maybe need to log out here first. And to log in here. And to submit this here. Maybe login of the long users. Maybe check here user tabs, insert the database. Maybe need to check here the login tabs, need to which tab need to pass this here inside the sign in screen. Need to pass here one, that's why not creating here driver users, that's why maybe issue here. Now first of all need to log out here and to call this here the again logins. Click on the continue. And to give this here the static passwords and to log in these users are need to set it here and need to clear these logs. Now need to call this here the simulator as a runs locations, need to sending here, need this here the checking the send locations or not, so need to identify here. First of all need to how can send here the simulations of the location change, need to go inside the IO, select first of all the simulators, then go inside the IO menu here, and then after so need not IO, need this here features, go inside the features tabs and to select here the locations, and then need to freeway drivers need to set this here, otherwise need to give this here the city bicycles rides, need to give in the select here, need to select here any this one, otherwise this one need to select here. Now need to select here the bicycles rides, need to select here, set this here and to calling this here. Now need to check here the console logs work or not. Again so need to check this here. Check here domain. Why not the data? Sorry for that. Maybe you need to debug those points. Restart the apps and to check this here location manager are active or not. So need to check this here. Need to listen here and to not like this calling these methods. That's why not working. We need to first of all the starting these methods. Need to write down here as the stream started. So need to set here true after work. Need to reset this flag. Set here true. Then after working here, so need to check here. Now again restart. Now need to set here against breakpoints. Now need to get this here these locations. Get here. But our Node.js right here the errors. First of all need to check this here the Node.js inside and to fix this here the errors. Maybe syntax error related to this here. Need to identify here the errors nearby the user types. We need to find out here the line numbers. We need to line numbers gets error 263. Go now to 236 line number. Inside booking detail here we have not passed here the value forget, that's why not working. Need to first of all give this here the request object dot latitudes and longitudes. Need to give this here the parameters. This is the forget creating time, that's why not working. Need to fix now because I only making the API not test. We need to test only the app real times app running. This time to test this here, that's why need to not working. Also need to check the apps. Need to save this here and to fix this here. Now need to restart this node servers and to again need to check here the with logs. Need to enable here and to get here the success and to returning this here, and also need to get here the callings here, gets here the new and to check this here changing here callings times and to get this here updating here the inside the user drivers current locations. These parts are the done, and next video inside we to call this here the driver onlines offlines buttons API we need to calls, and then after need to get here the new request API, need to create API accept or declines API need to calling here. If you like this video, please give the thumbs up. If you're new here, so please subscribe my channels and press the notification bell icon. You can get every new video notifications and awesome content. If you have any question, so please write down in the comment sections. I will help you and sort out your issue. Everyone have a nice day. Goodbye and take care.